What is going on, you guys? I want to talk to you today about storing and all of the things that you can do to transport your Legion stuff and magnetizing. So I have not magnetized my stuff before, and I would transport my Legion stuff kind of loose, and they would kind of run around like this and just kind of fall over, and it's a pain in the butt. Maybe you're using something like this, maybe you're using some type of tackle box or whatever. I'm going to show you guys kind of what I used to use for Armada, or what I do use for Armada, and this is kind of what I started off doing with Legion. So I had gotten just a generic plastic tub from Target, and I was going to put my Armada ships in there because it was tall enough that I could store them fully assembled. And I kind of liked this for Legion stuff too because it was tall enough that I could have like snow speeders and things like that in here. The problem was that this part wasn't perfectly flat. It was kind of concave or convex, or curves upward. So I had I had made this piece of wood and I just cut it out so that it would fit in here, no problem. And then all of a sudden I could keep my Legion stuff in there flat, but it would still slide around. So I decided I wanted to magnetize. So I came up with an idea using some magnetic paint. So before I went and got magnets to put under my Legion minis, I decided, I don't know if I want to carry a baking tray around or whatever, if I want to just use the same piece of wood I already had, because I kind of liked this one. I stained it and I did all this stuff. So I got this Rust-Oleum magnetic primer. My wife had actually gotten some of this for a different project she was working on, but there was plenty left in here. Just if you get it, make sure you shake it up really, really, really good. Stir it really good. Because I took this and I went on the other side of it. And you got to do like multiple coats. I did like 3 coats and let it dry in between, and now it's magnetic on this side. So if I want my prettier finish, I can flip it over. I didn't need it to be, metal or ferrous or whatever the metal is in there that makes it magnets stick to it. But yeah, that's basically what we had happen here. And so then I would have like a metallic kind of surface. Now this wasn't as strong as actual, sticking it on actual metal, but it's in between. And so if you have something out of wood that you want to use, you can try magnetic paint, and it's not quite as good as like a real baking tray or something actually metal, but it's close, and I'll show you the difference. So when you're putting your magnets in, this was my first time doing this, so I had to, basically, there's a little bit of room here underneath. So one of the things you want to do is you want to get the right kind of magnet. So you want Neodymium. And I got basically, these are 6mm by 2mm. These are super, super strong. If you're ever going to mess with neodymium, you have to be very, very careful because it's a rare earth magnet, and you can, like if a kid somehow swallows 2 of these, they can like bond inside the intestines and they'll never pass because the bond is so strong. You could easily, like have to get surgery to get them out. So this is a 6mm by 2mm magnet. It's very, very, very tiny. But it's the perfect kind. Just so you know, I had some 6mm by 2.5mm magnets, and I put them in here. And the problem is, well, look at that, it's going to stick to it. That's how strong they are. But 2.5mm, here, can you see? It was not flush. It stuck out a little bit. So if these stick, they do stick. But and these were my throwaway Rebel Troopers. I don't like the paint job on these guys, so they were my guinea pig, because I had a couple of these laying around. But basically it's going to stick out, and this way it's going to wobble, and you don't want them to wobble. So these will actually, the 2mm will come just underneath, but it's close enough to still make the magnetic seal. So this one might be, that one's gonna be hard to get up. So here I'm just using some Gorilla Glue. I like the gel super glue. I've heard some people talk about using hot glue. I don't necessarily recommend hot glue. I just don't know how well it would hold, but most of the advice I had seen said to use super glue. So we're going to put a little drop right there. We're going to take our little magnet and kind of push it down on there and just kind of press it in. Sometimes I'll drop it and it won't fall in the right spot, so I have to kind of push it around a little bit, but just be really careful because you're going to stick your fingers together. So it's on there, and then we'll just let it dry for a little while. Don't put it straight on because then the magnet will pull right off and you'll lose it. And you also might get some glue drip on your metal, and you don't want that either. All right, so I've given Vader a few minutes to dry, and now I've got my magnetically painted board here, metal side over here, or magnetic side over here, and we'll just put him on there, and it holds him pretty good. See, I'm moving it, holds him in place, and this way if I wanted to, set an army up, and the reason why I think this is important for me is because I'll have all the different stormtroopers have a subtle difference on them, or slightly maybe a different colored shoulder pad or whatever, and then they rock around and they roll around in the car. And so when I get to where I'm playing, it's hard to they all get mixed up and it takes more time to set up. And this is something like this is also great in between rounds. You can just put your whole army on one sheet, and do that and it's pretty good. He's sideways there, staying just fine. Upside down you can do, but it's not the strongest thing. So like for single minis, it's not too bad. But yeah, so for example, here's my rebel army. I already did a lot of rebels, not all of them. So I don't have the snow speeders on right now because they're a little top heavy, so I couldn't. They were falling. The snow speeders were falling off if I did them straight sideways. Of course, now I wouldn't necessarily do that, but this just shows you. This is a lot of stuff on here. Now, I did a little differently. I put some extra magnets on the bottoms of these. So I have 2 underneath the ATRTs and 1 underneath each foot. And for the bigger models, actually went with 4. So here is a snow speeder on here, like with the actual mini on, and it still holds it. It still holds it pretty good, but because it's a little top heavy, it will slide a little bit if I start turning it. It's holding pretty good, still pretty good. There, all right, I recovered it. But now I have an actual baking tray here. Pardon my old baking tray. I grabbed like an old mangled one, but actual metal. It holds really, really well too. No problem. Do we want to try this again? Should I try it? All right, we'll try it again. Okay, it grips on there. It's much tighter. Again, the paint is not as good as a real metal. So on here, I'll turn it upside down. It stays upside down, no problem. So and that's this with this top heavy thing right here. Not too shabby. Oh, I'm even moving it upside down. That's really strong. All right, so I've got basically a small rebel army on here. This isn't all of my rebels. I don't know if I can fit all of them on here, especially once the extra stuff comes out. But I'll try to put that down in there, and there we go. So I can hold everything in there, and I can put a top on there. And there you go. It's ready to go. It's safe. And nothing's gonna, if it moves around in the car, all of those are staying, well, I don't know if you can still see, but all of those are staying put. So that's definitely one option. The other thing I do with this same type of thing though is, and I'll just leave it magnet side up right now, but I also put my Armada stuff in here. See, now I put some Armada stuff in here and it's still tall enough to, I think the only thing that goes through is the Imperial Star Destroyer is a little too tall, so I have to take that one off of the stilts. But these bases for the squadrons are actually very similar, so you could probably magnetize those also if you wanted your squadrons to stay put. You'd have a harder time magnetizing these, but I mean, there's probably still a way. I don't know if I want to necessarily do that or not, but it's one solution that can transport multiple games with big pieces, so I kind of like that. And so, like, to compare, this is like something I might do to get ready to transport an Imperial Army, and before these guys have not been magnetized yet, so once they get in the car, they move around, and then I go to, oh, I'm ready to play. Oh, I have to like sort everything out. They all get mixed together, and that's just after like 2 seconds of being in the car. If I'm driving farther away, then they look like that. So it's all over the place and becomes a total mess. Versus compared to this, nothing moves at all. Oh gosh, I'm knocking everything. But yes, nothing moves at all this way. So this is clearly, I think, the way to go. And you don't even have to, like, if you're thinking about doing something like this, you do not have to go with, magnetic paint. You don't have to paint your own wood. That's just one way to do it. I mean, if you want to, if you're comfortable doing, something like just a metal tray or any other piece of metal, they stick way better to that. So that's also really cool. Trays work fine. I mean, you can probably get them real cheap at like Goodwill or whatever if you're trying to go that way, or you can go something nicer. Maybe get a set and build something to stack them as well. Some metal trays would probably work really, really well. But that's what I'm using. The magnets, I mean, you can get the magnets anywhere, but make sure you're searching for 6mm by 2mm. They come in big things. Be very, very careful with them. I think I got these from Apex Magnets, but there's plenty of magnets stores. And there's several types of glue you can use. I was using Gorilla Glue today, but I also use this kind of here, the Loctite. I also use this as well. So this, and they have different pros and cons. I like the glue in Loctite better. Just, you know, I like that you squeeze here and it comes out. It's much easier. Like, I like the control for this, but at the same time, sometimes when you're unscrewing it, this little piece here breaks off. I've had a couple of these physically break. So while the control and the design of the bottle gives you great control, it sometimes breaks. Whereas this one has never broken, but the glue inside sometimes gets separated, and like I've had a couple of times where I went to squeeze it and then like liquid instead of gel came out all over my hand. So they both have pros and cons. I'm not endorsing any specific one. I like them both in different ways. But yeah, so that's about it. So if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. There is another round of the giveaway going on right now. So if you'd like to enter to win an expansion of your choice in the form of a $20 Cool Stuff gift card, you just have to become a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. It's as simple as that. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great day.